Great. Good evening, everyone. And this is RonkePosh, as you might already know. And if you haven't met me before, I'm Ronke Ajayi, fondly called RonkePosh. I'm Director of Studies at Le Posh School, and I've got a friend and an education consultant, education strategist here. And she has many fancy titles. But I'll let her just do a brief introduction of herself. I don't think anybody introduces themselves as well as we do, albeit I have a nice long bio here. But let's see you go freely, shall we?
Hi everyone. First of all, let me say thank you, RonkePosh, for inviting me to this conversation. It's one that it's long overdue and it's extremely important. Hi everyone, once again. My name is Okeyinfu Ajayi. I'm the founder of Busy Mind Center Limited. We're a nursery, primary, and secondary school. However, my major purpose, to be honest, is to change the world. It's to change the world, especially through business structure, through business alignment. Because when you understand what you're meant to be doing and how you're meant to be doing it, things generally are easier to get done. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm a business strategist. I believe very strongly that once the entrepreneur knows what they're doing, then they typically also will get it done. So when you think about support, think about KK. So that's it from me. I'm really, really happy to be here. Back to you, RonkePosh.
Awesome. So thank you for that quick, nice, punchy introduction. So I'll go straight to the point. The point is that things are tough out there for everyone, for families, for businesses, not just schools. So we can just imagine how tough it is for many people with schools. Even before now, people were complaining about paying salaries. We heard about teachers saying they haven't been paid for months, they haven't been paid this and the other, there are no benefits, there are no, the challenges are there. So before I go to my specific questions, what would you say to people that are complaining generally in the education sector about what's it called? The cost of living, everything skyrocketing. What would you say generally to anyone who is in that situation?
I think the first thing that I would say is take your mind back to COVID, right? During the time of COVID, what I found was a lot of things that we felt we needed to do, we had to do, we did without them, So I would say we're in a very interesting situation right now. COVID is not fully gone. So just imagine that you were back there. And look at some of the expenses that you currently have, that you consider your recurrent expenses. Look at those things that you feel you cannot do without. And you know what? Trim it. I say to people, and it's because somebody said it to me before, don't cut your coat according to your size. Cut it according to the fabric that you have. So it seems like it's a harsh advice, but to be honest, if you want to go on and not give yourself high blood pressure, guy, look at that your material. I'll begin to cut your coat according to it. Cut and join.
If you have akara and you have one old ashoke before, add it. If you have another fabric cutting, lace, just do what is working for you.
Exactly.
So what would you say in terms of collaboration? How can schools collaborate and then be able to save on costs, be able to do better? Do you think collaboration is a strategy that people can use at this time?
It is. It absolutely is a strategy.
With practical examples.
Yeah. Yes. So collaboration is a strategy, but the problem is trust. You know. So where are ways that we can collaborate? We can collaborate, for example, even in our staffing, right? Because what I found is that a lot of times. So let me start with our staffing. There's some subjects like social studies. For those of us that have secondary school, business studies. CRK, civics, some of these subjects, you don't do them every single day of the week. So why do you have a full-time staff handling it?
Yeah.
But because we are afraid of curriculums moving between schools and people stealing each other's ideas that did not come to us from heaven, we will not want to collaborate. But we can actually collaborate in that regard, and that reduces the cost of staffing. That's number one. We can collaborate in places of school bus as well, because sometimes I see buses passing by me, they're not a full bus.
Yeah, true.
Why do we then have to have 5 students in a bus because we want to say that we have school bus?
Actually, I will interrupt there because I was actually working with a school of recent, and she had already been collaborating with a school nearby where they were sharing buses. But some of the students have moved to the other school.
So the problem there is that she was collaborating without keeping her house in order. So what the parents obviously have seen is the fact that because on a school bus, right, the parents are not aware of the children on the bus. They just know that if you want to collaborate on a school bus, of course, the bus cannot have logos. It cannot have any logo no logo. No logo of either school. So we're both sharing the cost, we're both sharing the driver, we're both sharing maintenance, we're sharing everything. So you can't put your logo on it. No, that's not going to work, right? The second thing is when they're picking up the children, my nanny must be in the bus, your nanny too must be in the bus, or we hire a neutral nanny for the bus. So then you also need to ensure that you're putting your children in this bus. Are they doing, you are mad, you are crazy, oh, lo, on the bus? The other children are going to say, I don't like that school. Some of the students in, for example, the school that you said the parents are crossing over are going to be like, why are these students so quiet? And my children are always talking about how nice and quiet they are in their bus. Okay, let me go and check what is going on. So we need to put our house in order. For example, I collaborate with schools all the time on their field. I don't have the field.
Okay.
I don't have that sort of playground, well, not playground, field space for inter-house sports and things like that. So I've been known to collaborate in the past. Right now we collaborate with an estate, but in the past we've collaborated with a school. And I never had my parents move into that school. No, because from the very beginning, we're very open. This is what we're going to do here. And they liked how we managed their children. So, you know, and we never had, so we can collaborate on school bus, but we need to ensure that our house is in order. We can also collaborate in places like, so this one is a little tricky, but I was going to say in places of technology. So technology sharing, for example, especially in terms of content creation. Because sometimes if I've created my own lesson note or done my videos and we split it apart, it puts less stress on our team members. And so our team members don't have to be so stressed out, because these days, well, I don't know about a lot of schools out there, but for us, we never shut down our online platform. We still have that running. So it's working beautifully well. And that's something that people can collaborate on as well. Another area that people can collaborate is lunch.
If they're going to make it efficient, what are the things that they can do to make it efficient if they want to collaborate online?
Online. Oh, if they want to collaborate online, they have to streamline their timetables. They have to take a look at both. So if I want to collaborate with RonkePosh, for example, I'll say, oh, what are your learning outcomes for the students in this area? Because not so much the curriculum, but the learning outcomes. If you and I agree on the learning outcomes, and we both know delivery methodology, you know what, is student facing, why not? As long as our learning outcomes are aligned, that's fine. And then we have to align the weekly deliverables as well. Once we have that, then that's fine. Our reporting structure as well needs to be aligned. So once we do all of that, then we honestly can collaborate quite easily. Assessments, either of us can do the assessments, and we can sit down and work out the mechanics. But the core, the technicalities are our curriculum and our not really curriculum, our learning outlines need to be aligned, and then our weekly deliverables need to be aligned, and then that can be delivered. I mean, we collaborate with YouTube now. Do I know the teachers that are teaching on YouTube and I'm playing their videos for my children in class? I don't know them. You know, so those are ways that we can collaborate using technology as well. So those, I mean, if we only look at those three, to be honest, I think that's a good one. So school bus, staffing, and technology. If that's all, I was going to add school lunch as well, but it's too sensitive because, you know, some children have, it's too sensitive. So let's not go there. Those three in places of collaboration honestly works. It works really well.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for that.
Trust factor is now the wahala.
Yeah, that's usually the thing. Trust is, I've been dating personally anyway, so I know it doesn't dissuade me from wanting to collaborate with other people, but I've experienced it. So I know when people have their reservations, I understand when they have their, you know, the fears are there, because definitely, you know, Nigerians, we can be very blessed and very, very, you know. So, what's going on? Are we still there? Oh, someone is calling me. Okay. Oh no. Sorry, it's fine. It's my daughter that is trying to FaceTime me.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just, it's fine. I don't even know I don't know what's going on now. Hello.
Do you want us to hold and then you talk to her?
I've even pressed something. I don't want to go and end this Zoom call and press the wrong thing. This not.
Yeah, so we're waiting for the RonkePosh is back.
So you got this text. Hello.
Yes, I'm right here.
So sorry, I knew that I might press. Oh, the button just came on at the same time, but I've told her to use another device. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's keep going. So yeah, so somebody wants to start a new school. What would you say to them? I want to start a new school. Everything's so expensive, dollar rates, and I really want to buy some things from Dubai. I want to buy some things. What can I do? Should I rent a building? It's so expensive. What can I just do to start? I want to start, and it's like things are getting worse, and it's my dream to have a school. There are lots of people like that. In fact, there are so many. There are so many.
Very
it's not encouraged even to buy outdoor equipment. I'm sure when we bought at the beginning of this term, when we were buying little tykes, just a couple of in September, I was like, for this one, this small thing, 300, 400, 1 point something, this, and you have to buy it. Your playground can't be empty.
It can't be empty.
You have to refresh. Or are there tricks to the thing? Can you collaborate on toys? You use this on Monday.
You can't collaborate on toys. You can't collaborate on toys.
So what are we going to do? What would you say for those people that want to start their schools? What would you say to them, please?
I mean, the first thing that I ask is, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm not saying that to dissuade anybody. I'm saying it because you have to be sure. If you're not sure you want to start a school, there would always be an excuse. Something would always come up, honestly, that will shake you off your foundation and you will stop. If you then agree that you want to start, then my next question is, what are your financing options? What sort of business model do you want to run? Especially in terms of your financing. Are you bootstrapping? For example, I have bootstrapped since I started my school. And I'm going to be 10 years next year. I've never taken a loan from the bank. I've bootstrapped. But guess what? I had some.
But for somebody that doesn't know what bootstrap is, they're just thinking you just tie your shoelaces. What are they?
Okay.
Sometimes these things, they seem very easy, but it's only easy when you know how. So
you're right.
People, at least I know that Uganda watch these videos, Kenya will watch this video, all around the world. Even some people in the US, UK, they want to set up schools. So what would you say when they say, what is bootstrapping?
Bootstrapping. So bootstrapping is you using your own money. So it means that you have some level of capital that you can start with, you can work with. It's called a bit of patient capital, because you know that your return on investment might not be quick. So it's money that you have saved. It's not a soft loan, it's your money that you have saved. So that's what I've always done, right? But then if you want to go to the bank, you need to have your numbers right. And I would say, what bank are you going to? That's
are they even giving money in the banks?
They're not really giving anymore. So practical tips, to be honest, because that's what we've been doing on this conversation is, I would say, if you are not able to build a humongous thing, then you know what? Just go rent. Find a place where you can rent for now. When you're thinking of renting, think about your what sort of service are you giving? Are you giving a service for early years? Is it a service for early years and primary school, right? Or is it the three in together? If you are, then your location is critical. You save on marketing costs if you have a great location, because guess what? People are driving past and they're seeing you. Their bosses too are easily seen. Your students are easily seen. So you save on those marketing costs. So think about your location.
Then one moment, if somebody is already saying money is an issue, would you advise them to do the 3? Even 2?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah. I wouldn't. So again, that's where your model, what are you starting with, comes in. So if you're complaining about money, look around your vicinity where you want to start and say, what is the greatest need? Yeah. Is the greatest need early years? If you're in a place where the people living there are not young families, they only have primary school age children, so why are you starting an early years program? Because first of all, your catchment area is not favorable. Catchment area is those that are surrounding your immediate environment. The families, the homes surrounding your immediate environment is your catchment area. If they are not even going to use your service, why are you there? Right? So you have no business being there. So think about what is around you. Think about the needs. Do a small survey if you can, right? And your survey could be you sitting down in your car a few weeks before you start, or a few months before you start, and checking in the area. Are there supermarkets in the area? Go there and go and buy things and see the kind of families in that area. Is there a fuel station around there? Go there and go and check. You see the sort of cars or people who are driving around that area. So that helps you benchmark what service, what solution is necessary in that area. Start with that. If you meet a need, chances are that need will draw more people. If one person has a headache and they say there's one drug somewhere that works, people will find that drug because it works, right? So start with what you know is needed in your environment, and then start with what you have. Look, it seems like we all want to do everything at once, but the reality is the same way you have delayed gratification. If I want to buy a Gucci bag, I don't have money for that Gucci bag now. I go and buy Bend Down Boutique if that's what I can afford. There are times where you want to buy everything in your school, but you can't afford it. Wait.
You just can't afford it, yeah.
Wait, what are the things you can afford? Buy those ones first. Must you use the most expensive paint? No. Go and look for fine coats or whatever coat it is that is available out there. Use that, knowing that at least for a year, it's going to look okay, right? Where can you buy your furniture? Are there some, honestly, I've seen some really cheap furniture around. They're second new. Go and look for them around. If you are in Lagos, then you find them around Mushi, around Oshodi, around Surule, Ojuelegba, back down into that area. You find them there. Go and check for those places and buy them, wash them, or spray them a little if they are wood, and you find out that they look better, right? Again, same thing with books. Must you have, but most importantly,
yes, let's talk about those books. Because they're going crazy on social media about schools exploiting parents, and they were talking about schools that parents were saying, oh, when they were younger, they were using the books of the 4 siblings before them, and they were like hand-me-downs pretty much. And then now schools are making them buy books that the siblings can't reuse the books, and they're so expensive. And I know at some point I did a post because I knew people didn't understand the concept of workbooks, because we didn't use as many workbooks.
No, we didn't.
Then we used textbooks, but now when they
wrote in our notebooks,
and they will be exactly, and their parents are complaining that they're writing in the notebooks. No, they're writing in the textbooks. But I know it's not the textbook. I know it's the workbooks, and you can't reuse it. Do you want them to write in pencil, clean it, and then for your older sibling too? So can you talk to that effect and what you think schools can do to help parents at this time, because they are complaining about the books?
Yeah, so something that, and again, this is where technology comes in, right? If you're able to use, so 2 things that you can do really is, it's tough, to be honest, RonkePosh. There's no way you look at it as tough. Because if you buy a low quality
this our school thing is tough.
If you buy a low quality book, you will see where somebody will write that you use your head for carrying things.
Yes, carrying load.
Yes, carrying load. Or they draw a giraffe and call it an antelope.
Yeah.
So you can't buy low quality books, right? So what I know that a lot of schools have done is buy a few textbooks and then make sure that all the students have workbooks, and then they have collaboration. So a table of 5 has maybe 2 textbooks, and then all the children have workbooks. So that's something that we can do. But that we don't buy workbooks at all is difficult. If you use technology, you can scan the workbooks or scan the textbooks if you have the time, and then the students can go there and look at it, right? But the reality is that from time to time, even these publishers have now had sense. They will do version 1, version 2, version 3.
And the difference is not much.
Oh, it's negligible, but there's a fear of missing out of, hey, what if I don't buy the recent version? Am I shortchanging my students? So it's a very difficult place to be. Initially, when we just started, we used to photocopy and paste it in the children's books because it seemed cheaper. But now the cost of paper have gone through the roof.
Even ink.
This dollar thing, ink. So it's cheaper now to buy the workbook than to do the photocopying, right? So if you're just starting, you know what? Maybe you can utilize your smart board. That again is a lot of money, but then you scan it, you put it on the board, and then the students can write it. So that's something that maybe you can do.
Honestly, I don't even know. We can go on forever because when you talk about the smart board, the smart board just now, I can remember when we bought our smart boards in many years ago, early 2000s, and we bought our smart boards. So I wanted to buy we have a technology room that we just pretty much set up, and I wanted to buy a smart board. I'm telling you that it's like 3-4 times the price of it, and I'm thinking, hello, and they're saying dollar this, dollar that,
dollar everything.
So it's becoming, we can't pass all the costs to the parents.
No, you can't,
and it's not right to pass all the costs to the parents. So even if it's not a newbie, someone's wanting to start a school, even for those that are already in the business, what would you say to them? Because things are expensive. Another thing that was very expensive, laptops. And the children need laptops. So some schools tell the children to bring their laptops, but I still believe that schools should have laptops.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the best strategy around technology, not just in terms of ownership, but just generally?
It's such a difficult question. Giving
you all the difficult questions.
It's such a difficult one because you want to do what is best for your students. but you also, like you just rightly mentioned, RonkePosh, you don't want to pass on, because those costs are huge. It will make the parents run away.
Yeah.
So what we can do, again, is move into that space of collaboration. If you as a school can afford a few laptops, then there are things called learning stations, right? Which is why when we talk about 21st century education, it's not just a buzzword, it's actually action oriented. So if you had workstations in your classrooms, one workstation could be a technology workstation, so that as the students are rotating during the day, they all get to engage with the technology workstation, and that would help. It will help manage the costing of technology, but still give the students maybe not in-depth knowledge of what they need to know, but at least they have the basics that they can work with in that regard. Another thing we can do is let the parents know. So something that we do is we don't do all our technology in the school. We start it in school, and then we let them know these ones you need to do it by yourself. Please finish up at home. These are your flash drives. When you're done, save it on your flash drive and bring it in, and then we look at it together in school. Because we realize that if we're trying to move those laptops around, it's difficult. Yes, some children come with their laptops, but then there's the cost of what? Data. Because they have to get on data, they have to go do their research and all of that.
Absolutely, and the risk of viruses as well.
Exactly, is there. So there's all of these things that comes in. But look at I would say, look, there's no one size fits all in any of these solutions. What can work for you? Don't look at what school A is doing or school B or school C, because you might not have the capacity that they have, the muscle that they have, or they may have had conversations that you're not even aware are going on in their school. So you look at your school and say, what can I do? How can I start? And start. If all you can do is Google Classroom for now, and your teachers record their videos, and that's all the technology the children can play, stop, pause. If that's all they can do, then that's fine for now, till you can do something more. But don't try and literally wound yourself because you're trying to be like somebody else and you can't.
But the thing there is that the parents will be complaining that their friends' children in school that pays less can do X, Y, and Z, and their own children can't do that. You know how it used to be with numbers.
They
like
that
one can code, that one can down code and be able to design this and that. You people are just pressing X, Y, and Z on Word.
Yeah. So so the different stages, right? So I would always say you can't be like that at the school. Right? And so you must be able to communicate with your parents. Let them know if that's what they are doing in school A, there are different things that we want to do here, and this is what we are trying to achieve. You must have that very strong voice, because it's your brand identity that we're talking about here. And let them know, right? Does that mean that your children should not code? It doesn't mean that. If you can find somebody who can code, because the rent that you might be paying and that other school is paying might be different. And so, or somebody is financing them and you don't know what they're doing. Maybe they have a grant or something, but you don't know, right? So it's really difficult it's difficult. There's no one size fits all, to be honest. If you can, there are inexpensive people that you don't have to call, a huge outfit to come and teach your children how to code. They're actually also free. Code.org is totally free, and children can go across the levels from age 4 learning that coding, and some of it can be done at home as well, right? So involve your parents, let them know that if you want this to happen, these are the things that we can do to make it happen, and then just go from there, really, is what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you. Just go from there. So there's another thing that has happened. Japa. Hey. I don't know if did Japa hit your school, or is just
what? Just goes like this.
Japa.
Look, this.
So how has Japa affected your school?
It has. So we've had families leaving since January. All the way, we've had them just Japaing. Mommy is going to school, daddy is going to school. The mommy got a job. Everybody's Japaing, and they're taking the children along. It's been tough. This term alone, we've had about eight students leave. Across 5 families, leave to Japa, but the thing is, some of them have stayed online with us, and they're still online with us right now, learning online, because the council where they're going is too late to register, because I tell them, they come and tell us, and I say, look, find out if there's space for your child, because you might go there thinking that they just enter school like that. No, be so in the Japa land.
In fact, the ignorance in this Japa is just too much.
The ignorance is too much, so they found out and then realized that, okay, they can't. So they stayed online with us, but it's been a tough one because that's sometimes they don't even tell you, right? And that's finance, that's revenue that you have budgeted for.
Yeah.
That just disappears.
But as long as they even pay you, because I know that on my Instagram, some people complain that some schools, they had parents leave. Parents that would normally pay school fees will say, oh, we're a bit, just give us some time. And because they've been previous customers, they normally, if it was a new person and stuff like that, they probably won't agree. But they now allowed them 2-3 children, and they didn't pay, and they had stayed maybe for a significant amount of time, and they left. I know karma will catch all those kind of people.
Yes, so, karma will catch them.
That one is very, I feel their pain. Now, even before this japa started, people were already complaining about teacher quality in Nigeria. And now we have a significant number of teachers that are japaing, especially as it's an education route for them to be able to go to other countries. So how do you think it has impacted us Nigerians, educators, even if it's only Lagos you speak to? How do you think it impacted them? And also for people that are struggling, schools that are struggling with human capital, with resources, what would you say to those schools? Should they just do with the low quality teachers that they find? Because it is challenging, and even the ones that know what they're doing, they're beginning to ask for money that they will look at your school, they will just size you up. It's in this employee, is this and that. So pay me extra. I don't even care if there are only 5 children in the school. So what would you say to that?
The first thing, it's a reality. Beyond japa, we also have teachers who are honestly leaving the profession because they're tired of the it's on air, the BS that they're getting from a lot of families and stuff like that. So people are just tired of the profession and they're leaving. So we're coping with that on the one hand, and on the other hand, we're coping with japarists. I didn't know that was a thing, So what you can do as a school really is you can't compromise quality. What I say to people is, if you can afford it, have a floating staff. Go and party with NYSC. NYSC is always looking for places to send their COP members. So, they send their COP. So go and party with NYSC. Let them send them to you. Basic training that you can give them. But what you can ensure you have is oversight. Have somebody in curriculum and in teaching strategy, learning strategy, who that those people are there. Right, such that if you are the person that can do it because all your good hands have gone, it just means extra work for you. But then go around and make sure that these people they're pretty much acting as assistants and helping you manage the classrooms. But then somebody is actually monitoring and evaluating learning till they can get to the place where you can trust them enough to do the work. Another thing that we're having, like you rightly mentioned, is because some of these schools that have been in existence for 30, 40 years are losing a lot of their teachers. They're then looking in on some of the schools who maybe have been there for about 15, 10 years and, siphoning, that's the word, they literally have a straw and they're pulling their teachers out. So what you can then do is, don't make it about money for your team. Some of them would leave, right, because they need money. They're at that stage in their life where I want more money, but some of them will stay because you have given them a vision to stay, right? So treat people well. Make sure that they know that there's so much more beyond their salary that they're getting from you. Train them, all right? Send them out. If they need support, give them support. For example, what we did, and this has really helped us, is during COVID, we realized that most parents stayed at home, right? Some parents as well. By 1:32, they picked up their children. So the demand for after school services reduced from maybe we're running at about 10, 15 capacity for after school right now. So what we then did was that we adjusted the timing for our teachers, right? So right now, once the school bus leaves about 2:30, we pretty much scale down our teaching staff because they don't have to be there till 4, till 5. So they go home. Right, we have it on a rotational 2:30 they're gone. About 2:33, 2:30 really, 2:30.
Don't they have to get ready for the next day and do things?
So what they can then do? Because we typically have more than one person in the classroom, and there's always an assistant. So when things are going on, they're planning. So they have learned to be better planners. That's what it has done for them, so that they can go home on time. And then some of the work they do it online. Submit it. Once it's approved, they come really early in the morning, do their printing, and they're ready for the day. So all of that has really helped. And so in their minds, they're like, why am I I'm fine. I can go do something else. I can go do a lesson because I can leave slightly earlier. And that's a bit more money in their pocket as well. Another thing that you can do to make your team stay is, I have teachers who bake. I have teachers who cook. I have teachers who do uniform. I have teachers who do, I promote their businesses by myself.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
Yes, it helps because they then feel, okay, you know what, I'm making so much more from here. Why do I want to go to a school that will say you can't do lesson, you can't do another business, you can't, we don't do that, right? So that's something that put a human face in your processes, and you find that people become more humane towards you.
As long as they're not doing it in the class and selling to parents. Many parents come, hey, Toby's you want to buy cookies? It now changes.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we've talked about collaboration. There was a question that I had, but I had when you were talking. It will come back to me. So let me just go back to the other one, which is marketing tips. People are saying, okay, now that children have gone, you can't think there are no more children in this country. Of course, there are children in this country. So people are like, oh, how are you going to, you know, well, I've been doing this and doing that and sharing flyers, which I know is. So, yeah, what would you say in terms of marketing and getting your school brand out there and getting more children to register, which is what many people are looking for now? Even big schools are looking for now. Yeah. Especially big schools. I mean, there's so many things. I can't even finish asking you.
Because the loan is crazy. I'm sorry to say that here, but they have a huge loan.
They have a huge loan, and a lot of them are in areas, at least I'll speak for the ones in Lagos, are in areas where the traffic, because I know a particular school where the traffic along that side is, in fact, let me not even say horrible, as in it's so terrible. The day I went along that side, I was like, this is what people are suffering in that side. Horrible. So as a result, they've lost a lot of children because of the roadworks that are happening. Because even with the school bus, the children are, before they get to school, in the morning, they even say it's fair. But in the afternoons, the children are getting home 7, 8, after 8, because the roads are bad. Especially that Lekki side is so terrible. And then sometimes little children are on the buses and stuff. So parents are now looking to, a lot of them, those big schools are losing, because they have so much space, they're usually on the outskirts. A lot of people are now losing their children to other schals. What advice would you have for those kind of people? Because it's not all of, I mean, even if you have boarding school, it's not, who wants to put a 5-year-old in boarding school or whatever. What would you say about those sort of people and also marketing generally?
I think, to be honest, the peculiarity, I would, first thing I would say is, if it's roadworks or traffic based on something, some of these things are temporal. They're temporal for a long time, but they're temporal. So you might not want to use a permanent solution to solve the temporal problem. You know, you're just going to have to wait it out, to be honest.
Is this Nigerian problem going to go away? Are you sure?
Well, let's believe that one day they'll finish the road.
Yeah, but business is at stake now. One day they'll finish the road.
Business is at stake. So what you can do really is look within your environment. And then it's difficult, right? Because sometimes the fees have been pegged at a certain level, and you can't bring down your fees because people around your area may be unable to afford those fees, right? So do you want to look at it and say, oh, you know what, we're bringing out, I don't know, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking of, if I'm in a plane, there's the economy, there's premium economy, there's business class, there's first class. So do you maybe want to categorize your services and say, you know what, we're bringing out something for people in this vicinity. It's not a lot, but guess what? It will bring in something, you know, it won't be a lot, but then you have your—
Let's expatiate on that. I'm not clear.
So,
because the reason I'm saying I'm not clear is that you not run the risk of people feeling that you are going to give some children a mediocre service, and then some children will get more or better than other children. Some will think, will my child be treated as a second-class citizen?
Yeah, that's the fear in those areas.
I know my questions are always a bit convoluted.
Yeah, no, but they are great. They are absolutely great questions. You have to think to be able to answer those questions.
Because I don't want to ask the question that you can get the answers to. I want the ones that people are like.
I mean, in that regard, like you said, that's a difficult one. But there's a business model that I'm using for one of my clients. They have a it's an NGO, so it's more like a social enterprise school, and that's what they're doing, right? There are people within that environment who pay for people's fees. So their school is not a premium, her school is not a premium school, but it is not a low-level school as well. So what she has done is that she has gone all out for grants and said, in this area, this is what we're trying to do. These are our fees. They're pegged at this rate. However, we do want to give back to the environment, which is slightly different in these schools that we might be talking about. So that business model might not really work for you. So what you can do maybe in that area is then, so that's what she did, and it's working really well for her. So she's able to keep her fees, but then she's running her school on grants. And the students who are coming and enjoying that grant because of our business model. What you can do is to appeal to your parents, right? And help them understand online learning. And then the students will not come to school every day of the week. There are certain days of the week that they're in school. The rest of the week, they do online learning. It might mean that you give a slight discount on your fees, but you want to ensure that you have your revenue turning in. If not, then your cash flow is going to look really bad. So maybe that's something that they can do.
They're living in challenging times.
Challenging
times.
And in terms of school marketing, I always say that retention is better than marketing, because when you retain, you have 10 times more. So for any school listening out there who you are struggling with, maybe you are losing students, maybe not for this sort of situations that RonkePosh has come.
Because you could have just lost children to japa, so you can't retain them.
Yes, so that one you cannot retain, but how about poor service? What I found for a lot of people who come and talk to me, some parents in my DM, is poor service. Right? The schools just don't give a hoot. It's like you have paid school fees, so you're on your own, just sit down there. So you need to maximize your service and then do something disruptive. If you want people to come to your school, they need to be able to see you. It's not necessarily putting children's pictures out there and do like this and do like that, but look great when you are posting. It has to. You need to make an effort, right? Because guess what? That translates into something. When you're interviewing,
can you also expatiate? What would you say that say so that somebody will, it will resonate to somebody and say, this is what I've been doing wrong, I've been a fool, that kind of thing.
Spend some money on your digital media. People are visual. People are visual. Before you take that picture, clean the lens of your phone. Don't go and take a picture and it's looking blurry. Don't take a picture and it shows clearly that the students are not being taken care of. There's snot coming out of their nose. Their clothes are looking like this. Why? That tells me that within your school, you're also not taking care of the students. So why will I bring my child there? If what you are putting out, which is your highlights, because typically people put their best pictures out there. If your best pictures don't even show best, then why am I bringing my students to you? You also need to show your sense of community when you're, so use your WhatsApp well. Use your WhatsApp very well. If you're
Which WhatsApp?
WhatsApp stories. Your WhatsApp
and what should they be doing?
On your WhatsApp, do your stories very well. So that story that you put, that's 30 seconds, record it very nicely. Let the lights, if you don't have to go and buy digital lights. Open your window, stand, let the be backing. If you are holding the camera, back the window so that the light is shining on the face of people that you're taking their pictures and doing their videos. Use that WhatsApp story. Tell a story about what your school did. Oh, went for this competition, went for that competition. Let it show that you are teaching the children beyond academics, and people will be interested in that because they know that thinking is what they want, right? And then sometimes spend some money promoting your posts. It helps. Word of mouth also helps, but you can only do word of mouth if your parents are happy with you. Because when a parent tells another,
go on.
Yeah, when a parent tells another parent about the school where they're in, it makes a huge difference. Let me give you an example. I had a parent who left our school. She left last year, September. She didn't come back in September last year, not this year. She didn't come back. And then when they called, I said, I was going on. She was like, oh, she wasn't happy about something that happened with one of the teachers in this class school. And she just felt, you know what, I don't want my children to be victimized. And they assured her the children will not be victimized, She said, oh, she had registered already in another school. We said, okay, that's fine. If ever you want to come back, please, our doors are open to you. 1 term later, she came back. And even while she was not with us for that term, she lives in a mini estate. Practically 70% of our estate, she told them to come to my school. She was no longer in my school. She had left. She said the quality of service. She said so much about us, but she wasn't even there. A term later, they came back. They said the children were miserable where they were, right? So you have customers who are paying, who are your parents, but your consumers are the students. How are you treating them? Do they really feel that they are loved, they are heard, that they're in a place that cares for them? Look, these days, children, they have brain. and they are your brain. They have plenty brain. So you want to be sure that they're saying the right things about you at home. Yes, children might say things that are incorrect, but you know what? Have an open door policy so that parents know that they can be heard when they come to your school. It matters. It really does matter for a lot of parents.
Okay, thank you for that. That you've said a lot. So people are going to watch this like so many times. Now, another thing is power supply in the schools. It's now getting so hot now. Yes, I know. My own question, they are very we're not here to play. Power supply, basic fundamental human rights. That is not fundamental human rights in Nigeria. It's affecting businesses. I know that because I know a lot of people are going to watch this and they're not necessarily in the education sector. This is practical stuff that people can apply. And I know, for example, a lot of bakers have had to close because the price of flour, the price of running the diesel generators, even when you swap to petrol generators and everything, it's not only even that you want to put on the smart board, just being comfortable, just putting on the fan, air conditioner for the children. It's not there. What do you say to that? Even charging laptops, some people have said they've had to do timetable. So maybe every 2 hours they will put on the gen so that everybody can quickly plug in, charge their phone, and then put it off again. They maybe lunchtime when the children want to eat, What can people do? What can people do? Because it is what it is, but we have to continue with the schools.
It's tough. RonkePosh is tough. I can't even form babe about this one. Oh, tough, girl. It's very difficult. But you know what? To be honest, what we've done is that we've done a bit of power sharing as well. The small gen comes on. Unfortunately, people who supply things like alternate sources of power, sometimes you can't even trust the quality of what they give.
You can't.
Sometimes that's out of the window. But what we've done is that we share our power, and it has helped that we don't have a lot of.
Are you sharing with another person or what?
No, this petrol gen and versus diesel gen. So our diesel gen only runs right now from about 11 o'clock to about 1:30, and we shut it down and move back to the petrol gen, right? Because we can't afford to run diesel. The cost of diesel is through the roof.
How much is it now?
It's about almost 800, sometimes 800 that you're buying for a liter of diesel. It's very expensive. It's terribly expensive, And then we've had to educate the children as well. We've talked to our parent community so that they're aware. I think sometimes we schools try and
because they're living that reality in their homes.
Yes,
they don't have.
But we try and hide things and feel, there was no gen, really. Yes, there was no gen. We couldn't afford it. We just couldn't, and be open, be plain. Let them understand the fact that your children are comfortable. They're not as comfortable as when the ACs are on, but they're comfortable. The fans are on, the windows are open, so the place is ventilated. Say it like that and then leave it, right? Because you can't, even banks are closing early these days.
Yes.
Because they can't afford it. So our realities honestly would inform our actions. So don't try and live in an alternate reality and do something that runs your school even further into the ground, considering, all of these things that we're dealing with. But honestly, there's no solution. Even Nigerian government doesn't have a solution. RonkePosh. So
okay, let me give you one more, even though I still have like thousands more, but let me just give you one more. So the one more was about, someone told me that she has gone back to work to a 9-to-5 job. Because it's just not making sense. But she loves her school. She hasn't closed down. And I don't think that, I personally said to her, I don't see anything wrong with that. Honestly, I even think it's good. They're supposed to sitting down there doing and money's not coming in, So what would you say to somebody like that? What are your thoughts around that generally?
To be honest, like you said, if you've set up the right structure and people know what they're doing, you don't necessarily have to be there. Like I say, sometimes I'm there and sometimes I'm bored stiff, right? Because it's not that I'm doing a bit of work outside consulting and some of those things. I'm bored stiff because the system is running by itself. So if you feel either because you're bored, there's not enough for you to do, or your cash flow is just not adding up and you have to go and take a 9-to-5 or do something extra, it doesn't, you shouldn't feel guilt about the fact that you're living your passion. No, please don't feel that way. The days you can take casual leave and come in and see them in school, then do that. But just ensure that the people who you have empowered to do the job are doing the job. Like you, honestly, I don't see anything wrong in doing that. If you have to do that, then do that, right? But just ensure that what should be happening in your school is what is happening in your school. The reality is that sometimes the cash flow doesn't add up. And if it doesn't add up, then you stand the risk of shutting down. It's even better for us not to do what we can to stay alive and running than to form, like you said, Oga, but things are falling apart around the ears. Yeah, that's what I would say.
So whilst that is the last question, thank you for that. So let's say it's question 10. So it's section 10A. So 10B is, what other ways, what avenues can schools use to generate income at this type of time?
I mean, we've talked about a lot of those sort of avenues, right? Another thing is renting out your building for things like lesson. Your field, for example, we rent out our field. People come and use it for parties and things like that. And that's an extra income for us. And it helps, So that's...
Would you have any reservations about conflict of interest or something like that? I'm just throwing questions out.
I mean, I can't think of any conflict of interest situation right now. You want to rent the building. It's even visibility for us, to be honest. If somebody who does school lesson, for example, over summer school, we had people who came in to rent the building for summer school. We had money. Money came in during that period because they had to pay for rent, So I don't see that it's a conflict of interest situation. We're in a situation where we have to do what we can to keep our schools running. There's just only so much that you can do with your tuition or uniform fee or book fee or school bus, only so much. So you must look outside and say, what else can I do? Your school lunch as well is something that you can sell to other people. And that's something that we've tried in the past. It's just that the logistics was difficult for us to manage, right? Because of the way we run. But there are some people who do it and do it well. You can have a school store as well. So if it's possible, things like socks, things like shoes, things like school bags, water bottles, if you're able to buy it in bulk, have a school store so that people buy from you. Pencils, biros, they buy from the school store. A tuck shop, all those things are ways that you can get extra income from the school. I think we need to be very disruptive in our thinking. Stop thinking
that's not why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, we have to. Stop thinking that it's only about uniform or look out at some other means, right? And try and get people in. Try and get things in. Try and create visibility for your school. Again, look around your environment. Is there a business center there? You have a photocopy.
But don't start sewing clothes out, right? We have to be very careful, right? We say, we have a tailor in our school now. Not to sew.
Funny thing is that we do have, but that's a personal, like you said, it's a staff that does that. But she has, and she's on Instagram. And sometimes when she makes clothes for me and I post it, and parents are like, oh, she made it for you. Is it okay for me to talk to her? And I'm like, oh, sure, you can talk to her when she's done from work, And they have those conversations with them.
Yeah, we have a teacher that bakes as well. She makes
you do
amazing cakes. And I tell parents that she does make cakes. But I would just want people to be careful about other kind of services that they will provide that will just be funny, We are doing Ayamashe now, catering services, and we are now.
So those ones you have to zone them. If you want to do a catering service, for example, my cook, RonkePosh, she's fantastic, and she cooks for parties, right? But she doesn't do it within the school hours. She does it after school, so she would take a job maybe about 5 o'clock on Saturdays and on Sundays, and it helps. It really, really does help. It helps her. It also helps us. Because she's cooking within the school premises because we have something, she doesn't have to incur the costs of setting up a kitchen because we have that, right? If the area around you doesn't have a business center, can you create something in the guardhouse or somewhere where people can come and photocopy? There's plenty of money in photocopying. It might seem like it's small, but guess what? It's also visibility for your school because that photocopier is sitting down there, gathering dust. So we need to begin to think about
risks to parents. How about risks to parents?
So that's
sometimes
why
I always wonder how they do.
Yeah, that's why you have to be sure.
Not risk to parents, risk to children.
To the children, yes. Yeah. So you can't walk into a certain area, which is why I said like the guardhouse. The guardhouse is in front. The person doesn't necessarily have to come into the school, right? It's like you want a photocopy, okay, how much? Okay, this is what is the cost. The photocopy for you, they give it back to you. So the gate is not being open. What you can simply do is your gate that is a long gate, you can cut a small corner inside it so that you can take the paper and you can give it back to the person. And that's it. And you're meeting a community need. I mean, I'm not saying these solutions are the only solutions like this or that they will work for you, but I'm just saying, look outside of your current economy and say, what else exists out there that I can use and I can do? And then, you know what? Start doing it.
Is that what else? Is that what else that people are like? What else?
Yeah. There's also nanny service, you know. But again, like you said, there's some risk involved. So you need to look at that risk. If you're sending your staff, for example, somebody's going for a party and they need somebody to come and babysit, you know, you can do babysitting services, because some people don't have living nannies, but they need some of these sorts of services. And so you can make it really high class. What if they steal the
nanny? What if they poach the nanny?
So it's about having that understanding, right? So
you know,
there is always
a
risk.
It's always extra 2,000 and their aunt.
They help, yeah. There's always that risk. Honestly, that extra 2,000.
And parents are desperate for a lot of parents are desperate for nannies. So extra, you know, extra 2,000, 5,000. You say, come and work here. I'll give you extra this.
Yeah, so I have that, and well, let me say, thankfully, none of my nannies have left. You know, they go and do weekend work, you know, and they come back to school the next day, and they're right there in their uniforms doing their work. So I guess, what are they coming back to is the question. You know, if you don't give people a reason to come back to you, then they won't. And it's really not even about the opportunity that exists, it's that they're looking for the opportunities to leave. So,
but I hope they won't burn out if they work the weekends and work the weeks.
Yeah, so they're giving that option, and they understand the fact that you can't come to school and be tired. So they learn how to manage, you know, themselves. They have to. I mean, they're outside of this country, to be honest. RonkePosh people do 3 jobs, 4 jobs, and you are sharp on each of those jobs. So,
but this one is children.
Well,
like all sorts are happening. Oops, sorry. All sorts are happening these days. You know, sorry, I just poured water everywhere now. The other day, I mean, we still heard recently of negligence by a nanny, and the child was drowned, and that's not the first time, 7th time that we've heard things like that. You know, when people, you know, someone said we don't work with files, we work with lives. So we have to be like alert at all times. You know,
so
when people are working some of those jobs abroad, you know, some of them are like the security jobs. Sit down there, sleep.
So what's the ratio? So you have to then look at the ratio in the classroom. The nanny is not the main person in the classroom. They're a carer, right? The main person who's responsible for the classroom is the class teacher. And the system that we run, we have more, depending on the level. We're talking preschool now. We always have 2 preschool teachers. They co-teach. And then they have the assistants who support them. You know, so we always have, so you need to look within yours. That's why I said, what works for me might not work for you.
Yeah,
right? Sure. So look within your system and say, what will work, right? But this conversation is just challenging you that is listening tomorrow or next tomorrow.
I know people watch this one like this one, we're not here to play. Some people are like, hey, this is serious. Hey. All right, please share the video. Subscribe to the channel, and in fact pay, because this has been really, in fact, this one is strategy and consultancy all rolled into one. It's been insightful, it's been amazing, very informative, very educating and fun. Thank you so much, Mrs Okeyinfu Ajayi, for being here, for being a light to your world. We need this in Nigeria, and I wish that a lot of people would get the wind and know that we need schools in Nigeria. And the competition that we want to do is it's not what we think it is. We're a troubled country, and we need our children to get the right education. So everything is not about money. I could easily be doing 1,000,001 things now, and even if I'm not doing it,
I'll make me more money.
I could even be sleeping, honestly. I could just be sleeping, because when I thought about this series, I was like, hey, do I want to do this thing? Do I want to do this? Me, when people are doing something, you can never find me there. I will attend if you invite me, but that I'm gathering people and I don't do it. It's just not. That's why there's no time to my own. It's one person convenient. It's mutually convenient. I cannot say 8 o'clock every Thursday. And for the people are wondering what time, I will give you the time when it's convenient for the speaker and myself, because I'm not going to put myself under unnecessary pressure. But I want to do it, and I can only do it so that I can do it well, because 1,000,001 things that I've had to do today, and I've just come back and work. It's just a lot. So thank you for giving up your time. Thank you for giving up a lot of your life. Thank you for giving for posterity, and the Lord will bless you for what you have done for us today. Thank you, and we pray for the Busy Mind School and the team, and we pray for more and more growth for your school. It's been lovely. God bless you, and do subscribe to the channel and share. Don't just watch. People need help, so don't be that person that just consumes and you don't want to share, but you are keeping it a secret. We know. So thank you so much. Lovely. God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
You too.